what a shame it would be if all of a sudden we have an underwhelming election this November because we cannot get our act together on an issue that 80 to 90% of the people of this country are in enthusiastic support of IVF.
Charlie Kirk may look like he doesn't know what's going on, but he can see what's going on with regard to reproductive rights. He is the guy from Turning Point USA, an organization focused on getting young people to become right-wing extremists. But he sees how the tide has been turning on abortion and on IVF. And after the House District 10 defeat for MAGA Tuesday night in Alabama, partially on the heels of the IVF law, he is saying we shouldn't throw away an election because of something that is relatively not controversial among the public. He says it would be a shame if we didn't do well in November because we just can't get our act together on this issue. Now, Republicans have a long history of not getting their act together on many issues. But the point he's making is a good one, which is support is almost unanimous behind access and legality when it comes to IVF. And yet, Republicans are not working in a way that is going to get them electoral victories. Listen to the panic, and then we'll discuss.
And you see here in the House seat in Alabama, it can swing a Republican district by 26 points.
Yep.
The issue really is on the discarding of embryos. And I think a pragmatic, middle-of-the-road approach is don't discard them, have them donated, or have them stored for potential for future use. In vitro fertilization, which essentially takes the female egg, fertilizes it.
It's sex ed with Charlie Cork.
And then reimplants the egg during the ovulation period with the attempt for the egg to attach to the uterine wall. And if it sticks, then the continued fertilization process is able to hopefully get through gestation.
Right.
And the baby can develop and be born after 40 weeks. But what a shame it would be if all of a sudden we have an underwhelming election this November because we cannot get our act together on an issue that 80 to 90% of the people of this country are in enthusiastic support of IVF.
Now, there's a couple things here that are worthy of some discussion. First of all, what exactly is middle of the road with IVF when either you are arguing that it's a person at conception or you are not? Now, Charlie is trying to get around that fundamental issue and the problem it causes for IVF clinics by saying, just don't discard embryos. Either they have to be donated or whatever the case may be, as if that solves the problem. But it's not really middle of the road, and it doesn't really solve the problem. If the law states that embryos created via IVF are people because personhood begins at conception, you are going to scare the bejesus. Is it still okay to say bejesus? I don't even know what it means. You are going to scare IVF clinics. Even if they take the approach or you say, well, we're not going to discard, you are still going to scare them about what is our potential legal liability here. It completely changes the scope of how all of these places operate. And many of them might just say, we're bailing out. We don't want anything to do with this. Or the costs will become in states that don't cover, where insurance doesn't cover IVF. There are states where IVF is covered by medical insurance, by law, and states where it is not. In states where it is not covered, it is going to prohibitively spike the cost of this service. So the idea that, hey, listen, let's not screw it up. Let's just take a middle of the road approach. Embryos are people, no discarding of embryos, and they get donated. And who pays for the storage when they have been donated and no longer belong, for lack of a better term, to the couple whose DNA it is? These are all very real details that make the just take a middle of the road approach not make a whole lot of sense. Now, then there's another aspect to this, which is Charlie says, we got to get our act together on this because otherwise we may perform underwhelmingly. even if they're able to, quote, get their act together when it comes to IVF, which in my view would mean you have to say frozen fertilized IVF embryos are not people. That's the only way to really get your act together in a sane way. But imagine they do it and they somehow get their act together. Trump's going around reminding everybody it's thanks to him that Roe v. Wade was killed. And people don't like that. This is hurting Trump to the point where Trump is now, his head is spinning around what should he say about abortion, because he wants credit for the 3 Supreme Court justices that did the thing he promised they would do. I mean, we warned people in 2016, this is how it would go. He'll get Supreme Court justices on the court. It'll become the most right-wing court, arguably in history, certainly in 100 years. And then they're going to do away with abortion rights. It happened. Trump started taking credit. Then every time that this was up on the ballot after Roe v. Wade was repealed, Republicans lost. Trump realizes, oh, maybe this is not so good of an idea to be bragging. So now it's, are you going to support an abortion ban federally or not? And are there exceptions? Are there not? So the point here is, even if Charlie, not out of any ethical concern for reproductive rights or women's autonomy or any of it, just because he wants to win elections, if Charlie Kirk is able to convince Republicans to, quote, get their act together, Trump will ruin it by continuing to dissemble and equivocate on, thanks to me, we overturned Roe v. Wade, but there should be exceptions, but I might do a federal abortion ban, or I might not. But thank me for this and thank me for that. Even if you hate all of it, just pick the thing you like, which is basically Trump's position. I'll take every position on every issue, pick the one you like and that agrees with you. Trump potentially will spoil this. So listen, anything can happen in November, and we have to be super cautious about resting on our laurels or in any way that might disincentivize people from voting. But there is the potential for the assault on reproductive rights to really hurt Republicans in November. That would be correct. It would be appropriate. It makes sense when elected officials do stuff and then suffer consequences based on public opinion about the things they do. That's the right way for politics to work. We vote in reaction to what is done. It often isn't the case because people are bamboozled or lied to, or they don't know what our elected officials are doing, or whatever the case may be. The country is mostly in favor of all of these reproductive services being available and being legal. Republicans are increasingly continuing to be against it. And so they deserve to lose if people vote based on their political positions. Let's see what happens. Charlie Kirk is worried, and he should be worried,